Welcome everybody to today's webinar, which is actually a second part of a four-part series of webinars with regards to the importance of context and agent management. And it already relates to a suite of products that Microsoft has announced at Inspire in November last year. Today's session will focus on WorkIQ and Agent 365. I think some of us can relate to the little meme here. According to my analysis, the optimal strategy to deploy 10 million unicorns to our target market. Okay, and I think this is just really a comical look at the challenges that we face with ungrounded AI. So I'm Gabriel Malherbe. I'm a management executive at the First Technology Digital Business. And today, the star of the show is Chris Botha, who looks after our modern work practice. He's going to take a real deep dive into both Agent 365 and WorkIQ, which is the second part of our four-part series. And towards the end of the webinar, I'll let you know of the dates of the two remaining sessions and the content of those two topics. So the First Technology Digital Business really, I guess, is the propeller heads in the larger First Technology group. We focus on custom software development, development of software that's got AI baked into it. We also have a dedicated software development team that takes a 100% AI first approach. We also host all of the data experts of the group, and we've got two low-code teams in our organization, of which Chris represents our digital workplace business, and their focus really is the Power Platform stack, Microsoft Viva, Copilot Studio, and as you will see today, WorkIQ and Agent 365. Also very excited to announce that the First Technology Group has been awarded Frontier Partner status by Microsoft, which is really a great accolade and a demonstration of our use of their AI-based technologies as a leading partner. Also, very proud to announce, and this is probably not that fresh news anymore, that the First Technology Group has also been nominated as a global finalist in the Microsoft Partner Awards, also towards the end of last year, for our work in AI, specifically in the healthcare sector in South Africa. Great, so the problem, as we briefly spoke about it in our first session, is that AI has clearly, according to a lot of measurements, reached and gone beyond PhD level. But I think we all also appreciate that bringing a fresh graduate, even at PhD level, into your business does pose some challenges. And those challenges really relate to context, business context, what's the unique parts of your business, both in terms of culture, the way that you do business. And a lot of these operating mechanisms in our organizations also typically not documented, especially the cultural aspect. And it's quite important for these AI systems to take some appreciation to those kind of unwritten rules around your organization. So business context and grounding AI in business context is becoming a really important topic for organizations to effectively employ these PhD level agents in their organizations and have them perform within the parameters and the culture and the business context that you would expect a human employee to do. So Chris will focus today on two aspects of the announcement of Microsoft at Inspire, which is Agent 365, which is the ability to put some governance around agents and really treat them like human identities in your organization in terms of security, access control, etc. And then he'll move on to WorkIQ. We will talk about the importance of grounding your AI within your business contexts. Before I hand over to Chris, just very briefly, next week is the third part of our webinar series where we will dive into Fabric IQ, and we'll look at how we can enrich our data and give them semantic meaning for the use of AI agents. And then we end up this series, this 4-part series, on the 23rd with Nathan Goosen, who leads our Gen AI development team, and really he will take a deep dive into Foundry IQ. So without further ado, Chris, over to you.
Thanks, Gabriel. Let me just go ahead and share my screen. All good?
Perfect.
All right, super. Well, welcome everyone, and thanks for joining this session. My name is Chris Botha, heading up the digital workplace at First Digital. And over the next hour or so, we will unpack what agents for 365 are, how we will manage them going forward, how Work IQ makes them smarter, and what this means in practical terms for how work gets done going forward. If you've ever felt like your day is just a constant cycle of emails, meetings, and trying to remember what you were supposed to do in between, you're exactly the audience for this. Or if you're constantly on the road or roaming and wrestling email, calendar, and Teams applications on mobile, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, so let's just quickly recap from our previous session, just a quick overview here. Positioning, and let me quickly orientate you on how Microsoft is positioning agents within the 365 ecosystem. So at the very top, we have Microsoft Agent 365, which you can think of as the overarching layer that will become the watchdog, coordinating intelligent behavior across the platform. Underneath that, we have two primary execution paths for AI. On the left, Copilot for M365 agents. These are embedded within your M365 experience, inside Teams, inside Copilot, and it has evolved from just Copilot chat into a more action-orientated assistant that works directly across the M365 ecosystem. It's of course important to note that to build custom M365 agents and to use the new Work IQ model, what they refer to as a MCP service, a model context protocol, users will need to have the Copilot for M365 license. So this is unfortunately not available for people with the included or the bundled Copilot chat, the free version, only if you have the Copilot for M365 license. All right, and then on the right-hand side, we have the answer to this challenge that is introduced with licensing all my users in the organization for Copilot. For you guys that know what these services and licenses cost, they're not cheap. And purchasing it for all members of staff just does not seem financially viable in this day and age. We can solve that with Copilot Studio agents. This is where we can build those custom enterprise-grade agents tailored to very specific business needs for those project managers, for those business analysts, for that supply chain department. And now, coming soon, to M365 agents is this Work IQ layer, which acts as the intelligence layer to give it context before it results in providing a response to the end user. Okay. So just quickly, Microsoft Agent 365. I'll obviously show this to you guys in the demos in a moment, but this is, as mentioned, the watchdog. Here we will be able to view and monitor all of our agents, including those pre-built agents, those third-party agents, those agents that end users have created in Agent Builder, the custom developed agents, and even shadow agents in the environment. From here, we'll be able to now enforce a least privilege access condition by only giving agents access to the apps and resources they need to complete tasks. And we effectively treat agents as humans. Here, we can also now set policies for who can create, onboard, or manage these agents, effectively sponsors to these agents, assigning custodians for continuous supervision to ensure agents start secure with standard policy templates and blueprints, as well as living and breathing inside those governance guardrails. And then also to gain visibility into potential AI-related data exposure or risks surrounding that specific agent. The type of data, the type of knowledge it uses, the content that is involved in there, how How effectively has this been secured, and what should I be on the lookout for? As we've mentioned, there's the two key versions of Copilot. The premium one, that per user per month license, effectively my personal assistant, and we can use that license to create our own custom agents to perform very specific tasks, schedule meetings, draft documents, generate reports, and so forth. And Copilot Chat, the lightweight version, currently available for all Office 365 users, to at least giving users an alternative to using free and third-party and shadow AI. Anything we do inside Copilot is protected by our environment and our governance rules that has been set up through things like Microsoft Purview. So you can at least sleep easy knowing that if users use Copilot Chat or Copilot for M365, that data remains safely and securely inside my tenant. Any subsequent policies or sensitivity labels or data restrictions that you enforce will still be honored when you are engaging with these agents. And then Copilot Studio, the AI for the masses, as I like to refer to it. Here we can now create agents for an entire department, the entire organization, a specific business unit, without incurring that per user per month license. Copilot Studio is licensed on a tenant level. We have message capacity, and now we can build as many agents as we want and govern them through Agents 365. For my self-service agent builder functionality, I can typically only provide it with knowledge like documents or a website URL. But that also limits to what these agents can effectively do at the end of the day. With Copilot Studio, we take it to the next level. This is where we can plug in APIs. This is where we can hook up tools and skills. This is where we can connect it with workflow in the Power Platform ecosystem to further extend these agents. We are also in complete control of the behavior of this agent, the identity and persona it takes on, the instructions we give it to execute, the knowledge that it uses, and now with WorkIQ, context, business context. Consider those emails, consider those Teams messages, consider that as your DevOps board when you are drafting a response to me. So WorkIQ is Microsoft's intelligent layer. This sits in the background, connected to the Graph API, and has hundreds of triggers across your organization that it can use to ultimately supplement or reason over before it results in a response to the end user. This truly means that I can ask it to find me that gap in all business unit managers' calendar for next month, or create me a draft document and distribute it to the specific team's channel. Or perhaps I'm interested in problems, or rather I want to see if there's any recurring patterns or issues across my projects. Lift that up and visualize this for me so that I'm aware of these activities, and then obviously I can act upon that. So WorkIQ plugs into those custom agents where we effectively now don't need to point it to specific knowledge sources. Yes, we can always add additional knowledge sources, but just by enabling this WorkIQ concept, it has access to our Teams messages, our Exchange data, including emails and calendars. It has access to all of our documents in OneDrive, in SharePoint. It has a complete view into our organization structure, that interactive directory roles and reporting lines. All of that information is now available to WorkIQ. Okay, so let's jump into the fun stuff. I'm going to just switch my screen quickly. All right, so starting with Agent 365. As administrators, you might have noticed that there is a new area inside your admin center that splits Copilot into a new separate subsection for agents. So Copilot, obviously, we control all of the connectors, the licensing, the billing and usage, and the general settings around Copilot, the Copilot for M365 and free chat features. But now we have the agent section. So let's dive into this agent section. Right, so looking at this Agent 365 overview, it now gives me an instant snapshot of what's happening in my ecosystem with regards to AI. Here in the top left-hand side, I can see there's 285 agents in our organization. There is so many active users in Copilot. This is how much runtime agents has used in the background, specifically autonomous activities in the background. And I can see some actions here. So immediately here, I can see there's an agent without an owner. Perhaps somebody created an agent for a team, that member has left the organization, and there suddenly an agent has been orphaned. So here we have the quick ability to look at these agents without owners and reassign them to new custodians or sponsors. And it gives me a quick little agent analytics overview here. Created agents in your organization. So this could be anything from Azure AI Foundry agents to end user agent builder agents or Copilot Studio Lite and Copilot Studio, as well as third-party agents that has been enabled inside your tenants. Here it breaks that down for us into a little bit more of a granular platform selection. So we can see there's around 50 Copilot Studio agents in the environment, around 29 agents that end users have built with Copilot for M365. There's around 20 SharePoint-based agents, and there's even an agent toolkit. Okay, so this is pretty cool. I can immediately get a snapshot of what's happening in the background. Let's dive into this registry. So this registry now gives us a complete view into every single agent in my environment, who owns that agent, its permissions, the data sources it uses, and much more. So from the start here, I can see a list of all agents in the environment. And just to make things a little bit easier, let's sort by or filter by platform. So show me all of those Copilot Studio agents in the organization. Oops, there I've got a complete view of all of those agents in the environment. I get some high-level metrics, active users, total sessions over the last 30 days. And then it also allows me to drill into these agents to see more information around these solutions. So as example here, I can see the My Work IQ agent has a description. It's got an instruction set. I can see it is in a published state. It's available to all users. It's available through Copilot and Microsoft Teams. I can see who's the owner of this agent, and I can see the agent type, the platform, and if it uses any sensitive content in its day-to-day tool set or knowledge base. Naturally, I can also manage the permissions around these agents. I can get a much better view into what data and tools it uses. So here, for example, I can quickly see this agent connects to OneDrive files and SharePoint files, and there's even an additional knowledge source that's been added to this specific agent. And then as well, security. And this is where Agent 365 introduces its new feature, the ability to add an Entra identity to agents. So what does that mean? That means that we can give an agent effectively an Active Directory account. Now we can operate and handle it as a human inside the organization. We can grant it specific permissions. We can add it to Office 365 groups. We can let it be included in specific policies, and we can rather manage it on a intra level as opposed to a service principal layer, this background owner that owns these solutions. This does require you to enable Agent 365 Entra identities for the agents that you do want to manage. Now, it's important to note that you're probably not going to be required to manage all of the agents in the organization, because there is a cost associated with that. There's a new license that Microsoft introduces for that. So at the end of it, I will typically only license those agents that will touch and manage business sensitive or business critical content in the organization. In order to better manage and orchestrate as well as govern these agents, I do need to decide the agents that end users build. Do I actively want to monitor them, or do I rather restrict them with compliance and governance rules on an environment level versus those business critical agents. And for those agents, I will only license the authors of those agents. So if Chris is building solutions for his company, then Chris needs that new license so that anything Chris publishes can now be managed and governed inside Agent 365. But those users, that 20, 30 or 40 users in the organization with Microsoft M365 licensing, let's allow them to continue building their small agents because there's larger governance guardrails in place. This means that we can, on an environment level, define what data sources can be used, what connectors could be used, is it allowed to use external data, and what models is allowed inside these agents. So from the 1st of May, we will effectively be able to now, in Power Platform, for Copilot, grant agent identity on an environment level. So what does that mean? I will typically only want to apply this intra-agent identity to my production environment and only license the authors that is building and publishing agents in that specific environment. Then it immediately forms part of my Agent 365 Watchdog dashboard. So while this is a fantastic view into all of the agents, Microsoft has now also introduced this new visual map to give me a much better bird's eye view of agents inside my ecosystem. Let's just unfilter that. So there I can now get a nice little visual representation of agents inside my organization. Perhaps I want to deep dive into the Foundry agents. There's all the Foundry agents that now lives in my tenant. And again, I can click on any of these agents to see that agent specific details. Who owns it, where is it published, what data sources does it use, and so forth. Foundry ones do seem to be a little bit disconnected, but I also suspect it's just because of the preview functionality. But let me, like for example, dive into Copilot Studio. Then I can see all the agents that's been built across our environments using Copilot Studio. Let's say, for example, I want to dial into DW Work IQ. Again, it gives me that full breakdown of who owns this agent, what channel it leverages, who's the publisher, as well as the permissions, and all the knowledge and tools that the specific agent uses. Okay, so before we show and demonstrate how Work IQ can effectively work in these custom agents, I just want to take a quick step back and showcase or effectively give you some context around grounding or grounded agents versus ungrounded agents. So here is two quick examples. Here is a Agent 365 or Microsoft M365 agent that was created by an end user, in this case myself. So this is the type of agents that users with that M365 license can create by themselves. This agent doesn't have any grounding data. It can use the web to find information or fill in the gaps, and it has been provided with no knowledge. So it effectively doesn't know about any existing rules or policies or structure or even the organization's information. So in a practical example, let me ask it, explain the First Digital cybersecurity policy. So remember, this is an ungrounded agent. It doesn't have any knowledge. And I think while we wait for that one, let's do the exact same on our grounded agent. This agent now has been given context. This agent has been given knowledge to reference when being used. So let's go again. Explain the First Digital cybersecurity policy. There we go. We can see the ungrounded one is done. Here it's now generated a general First Digital cybersecurity policy. It's not connected to any of that data. So what has it done here? It has looked at the patterns in the type of industry that we are in, and then connected it to web searches to ultimately build this response. It's completely ungrounded. It doesn't know about anything around First Digital as a whole.
Chris,
Let's
and I
look at
think, Chris, I
Yes.
think the important thing to point out here, and this really is the source of a lot of hallucinations on AI, because clearly this answer was built from the underlying training knowledge of the underlying model, and secondly, it's like you've rightfully indicated, probably queried the web, found our website, and tried to make a correlation between the industry that we're in and how cybersecurity typically looks for a South African-based company. But it does it quite confidently.
Exactly.
And I guess within that is the problem here, because this is not our cybersecurity policy, clearly.
100%. Asking the grounded one, oh gosh, come on. It's, well, that one waits. I'm going to give it another example here. I wanted to create an internal announcement for a new hybrid work policy with a professional tone. So while that one runs, there we go. There is our grounded agent. Here it comes back and it immediately tells me below is a plain English explanation of the existing First Digital policy, Cybersecurity V24, written in the same tone and structure as used in our internal policies and grounded directly to the policy content. So here is our actual First Digital policy. It founded from the knowledge sources that we provided, and it has explicit instructions to only reference our internal data. Don't make use of external web data. Don't try and fill the gaps. Only provide me with the single source of truth that has been bound to this knowledge inside our tenant. Right, if we jump back to that ungrounded agent, create an internal announcement for our new hybrid work policy with a professional tone. So again, here it went and created a generic response from the web for a typical hybrid work policy. It's not bound to anything that we've already defined in our own internal policy for hybrid work. It is not connected to our staff handbooks or any of our organization information surrounding work policy. This is a generic web response, possibly littered with inconsistent information as well as those dreaded hallucinations. If I ask that exact same question to my grounded agent, create an internal announcement for a new hybrid work policy with a professional tone. And as you can see, I can make mistakes. These agents are pretty clever nowadays. Below is a copy-paste ready internal announcement written in a professional, clear and policy-aligned tone consistent with the First Digital communications and the way hybrid work is referenced in existing onboarding and staff guidance. So this announcement is now much closer aligned to the intended output because it's referencing our existing data. It is working within the rules and the criteria that's been defined in our policies to not suddenly introduce a new concept that might have been introduced through that ungrounded agent. Okay, and then if we take it a step further, we can effectively create these agents to help those individuals that potentially do repeated tasks inside the organization. A common purpose here or a common use case here is something like a bid manager. We receive requests for quotations from external customers, and somebody needs to review this, qualify this before we spend our time and effort on a response. So this agent has been grounded with our knowledge and our existing and sample proposals that we've done previously. It is grounded to our specializations and skills, and it's also grounded against our regulatory information from BEE to ISO compliance and all of those components. So all I need to do here is to upload an example RFQ and tell it to review this RFQ for me. Now I've given it all the instructions. Once you've reviewed this, I need you to highlight these specific areas of interest. I want to know about all of the dates. I want to know about any of the technologies that they have mentioned in this request. I want you to summarize the entire ask from this RFQ. I want you to address all of the key business objectives and then score this RFQ for me to determine, should I go ahead providing a response or am I going to waste my time? So here it's come back. It's now drafted me an overview of the request with all of the key business objectives. It's highlighted all of the in-scope and implied scope activities for this engagement. It explicitly tells me about all the technologies that was mentioned inside this proposal. It also has identified all the implicitly required prerequisites for this engagement, all of that regulatory and compliance requirements, vendor and partner requirements. There's all those key dates from publication right through to submission questions and submission deadlines, all the functional requirements and so forth. It mapped all the technologies for me, knowing what sort of technologies and services we support. It's gone ahead and given me a high-level architecture, and it's also scored this for me. It's qualified this engagement for me on these key metrics. Is this a strategic fit? Yes, because we are a Microsoft partner and delivering Microsoft services. It's technically feasible. Commercial viability, there might be a concern around that, possibly because of timeframes or availability of resources, a timeline feasibility, and competitive positioning. So here's come back and given me a score of 4 out of 5. It's a conditional go. Go ahead. Let's build a proposal around this new RFQ. And I can now continue this conversation with the agent to help me draft this proposal, put it for me on a First Digital template, and store it for me in a predetermined location. So this is already the power that we can get with grounded M365 agents in Copilot. And this power is available to your end users. This is one of the abilities that users with their M365 license can already do today. Build their own agents, grounded to specific knowledge, give it a set of instructions so that this is an agent they can use on a day-to-day basis. So what does WorkIQ bring to the table? All right, so let's quickly jump into Copilot Studio over here. So now in Copilot Studio, for those not familiar with this environment, this is where we build those custom agents. Now, as you can see, this all happens right here in the browser. I do not need to have that custom piece of software on my machine to build these agents or be fluent in Visual Studio to create these agents. It's low code, so I can build it right here in Copilot Studio. So what WorkIQ brings to the table is the ability for us to exclude knowledge. I don't have to point it to a specific SharePoint site. I don't have to give it a set of documents to reference. I don't have to point it into a specific O365 group to get me members from. I can use these new WorkIQ endpoints or Model Context Protocol endpoints to do the heavy lifting for me. So for example, I can dive into the WorkIQ calendar function or tool that has been added to this agent. And I can just give you a quick overview of the functionality that this tool brings to the table. Just load here for us quickly. So here I can see that this WorkIQ MCP endpoint can do things like list all events from a calendar, create events in a calendar, update an event, find meeting times, automatically accept the event. For example, if I have a gap in my calendar for a new meeting request, and I am in the required participants for this meeting, automatically accept this event. If it is conflicting with an existing entry in my calendar, perhaps accept it as tentative. And if I'm only optional for this event, completely reject this request so that my time can be spent better elsewhere. So as you can see, just from the MCP calendar endpoint, there is now a host of tools available to these agents. And that goes to the same for the likes of email, for Teams, all of that user properties and reporting lines and membership to groups and the permissions and roles that these individual users might have inside the organization. Okay, so let's quickly show you what we can now do with this new WorkiQ. How can you help me? Here in Studio, we can see how it connects to all of these endpoints and how it starts to reason over its input and its output. Then while we wait for that one, in another panel here, let me just switch to one of the other demonstrations. So here is a very purpose-built agent, at DW Calendar IQ. This agent can help anybody in the organization secure time with one of the First Digital executives. Getting access to leadership in some organizations might be a challenge. Their calendars are not shared with individuals. They might only be shared with a secretary or a personal assistant. Here is now a vehicle where me as an end user can get access to these executives. So let's use a very simple example here. I need time with both executives next week for 30 minutes. Let's see if our WorkiQ one is done. Still initializing. All right, so what's happening here? As I've inputted my request, I can see how it's connecting firstly to Active Directory to determine who's the individuals I'm referencing. I didn't give any names. I didn't provide any email addresses. I just said I need time with both executives. And then it automatically picked up that Aubrey and Gabriel is the two executives. Next, it moves into the Find Meeting Times tool. So now it's comparing my calendar with their calendars to find a gap next week for 30 minutes where we are all free. And there we go. I've checked both executive calendars for next week. Here are available 30-minute time slots for each. So that I can see that Gabriel's available on Tuesday, Wednesday, and twice on Wednesday and once on Tuesday. There's the slots, or there is slots with Aubrey on these specific days. Slot 1 with Gabriel and slot A with Avery overlap at the same time on Tuesday. So you'd need to pick different times if you want to want both meetings on the same day. But let's take this just a little bit further. Oops, I forgot. I actually want you to also include Wimpy and Dean. Subject Microsoft funding channels. So there again, I can see it picked up Wimpy and Dean. Let me go and find their details in the background. I found Wimpy, stayed away, but I've come across multiple Dean matches in the directory. Could you confirm which Dean you're referring to? Sure. It picked up Dean Hornbuckle and Dean Isaacs. I want you to include Dean Hornbuckle. So just option 1. Doing the same thing, confirming who's all the participants now, checking all of those calendars again for a 30-minute slot next week. And there we go. Here are the available slots where all 5 attendees can meet next week. Gabriel, Aubrey, Wimpy, Dean, and myself. It suggested these 2 slots. Slot 1, Gabriel is busy, Aubrey is busy, Wimpy's tentative, and Dean is tentative at that slot. But potentially slot 2 here where everyone is still tentative, I suggest let's grab this slot. And now I can say, yeah, let's go ahead and, because it's asking me, would you like me to go ahead and book this session? Yes, please. Okay, well, that does its thing. Here we can see the fully initialized WorkIQ agent. I'm your WorkIQ assistant with real-time access to your Microsoft 365 data. I can help you stay on top of emails, calendars and meetings, team conversations, finding documents across the organization, look up colleagues or contact details or roles or members of a specific team, as well as some quick tasks for myself, like daily briefing or outstanding action items, or perhaps a weekly meeting summary. So let's be a little bit more creative here. I need to remind myself about Friday's Feel Good News. Send a Teams message to myself. Remember about Feel Good Friday News. Cool. Message sent to yourself and Teams. Your reminder, remember about Feel Good Friday News has been posted on your personal Teams chat at this specific date and time. Okay, that's cool. Send a inspirational quote to the Digital Workplace General channel around the importance of work-life balance. Oops. While that one runs, there you can see our meeting was successfully booked. Here's the summary of the scheduled event. All these guys would have received the calendar invite for my meeting request. Awesome. I would like to just quickly start a new session here. And I would like you to find for me a gap next month with all the business unit managers. I've got a new solution developed and I want to showcase it to them. I want to showcase a new solution developed with all the business unit managers. Find 1 hour slot next month for this event. Okay, well, that one does its thing. Here we can come back to my inspirational quote one. There we go, inspirational quote posted successfully. So let's have a quick look at that. Here I can see in Teams, it sent that message to myself. Remember about Feel Good Friday News. And if I jump into those channels for Digital Workplace General, then I can see it quickly posted a inspirational quote for the team. You'll never feel truly satisfied by work until you are satisfied by life. That's cool. Let's jump back to WorkIQ. Okay, cool. Let's step this up a little bit. Create me a draft warning letter around timesheets for Lucas. Sorry, Lucas. Let's see how that. Just retry that. It is still in preview mode, so it might still be a little bit buggy here and there. Okay, so obviously first things is it goes and look up who is Lucas that I'm referring to, and then it will now create a draft letter for me in my style, save it for me inside OneDrive, and give me a link to that document. I think while we wait for that, I also want to show you guys the Project IQ agent. This agent can help me locate messages, discussions, topics, and recurring activities across Microsoft Teams from a project management and communication perspective. Okay, cool. Tell me more about the the ABSA My Gateway project. Now WorkIQ is still thinking about it. And there we go in our draft letter. Create me a draft warning letter around timesheets for Lucas. Draft warning letter created successfully. There's the document's details. This is what's included. There's sections for the formal written area, details of non-compliance, the impact, the previous warnings, required actions with clear deadlines and consequences. So show me that file. Where is that document? You can open the document here. And there it's now created a warning letter for timesheet compliance for Lucas. It looked up who Lucas is, which department he works for, and his current position. Drafted the letter for me, and I can literally fill in the gaps, submit or save and submit to the end user, expecting him to acknowledge and to return this letter to me. Okay. And now let's go one step further. Recap the meeting I missed from last Thursday with PSG. See if our project one has come back yet. No, it's still working hard at finding all the bits of information around my project request. Here I can see it has now find the relevant meeting. It's now correlating between Teams chats, conversations that I might have had with team members, as well as the meetings transcription. Okay, we can see it coming back with my project request. Here is a comprehensive overview of the ABSA My Gateway project based on your team's conversations and channel messages from the project ABSA Gateway chat. So here it gave me some insights around platform and technical direction, project operations and delivery, around the contract and commercial context. It even showcased that, hey, we received recognition and awards for this. The My Gateway initiative received notable recognition, won an internal ABSA Pinnacle Award driven by the business executive side. Future innovation and future enhancements discussions, stakeholders discussions, recent resources found surrounding this engagement, and naturally I can now dig deeper, extract open action items or decisions from the Gateway channel, put a timeline of key milestones discussed in teams, list all participants in the project, and summarize the most recent activity in the channel. Just let me know how you'd like to explore this further. So I hope you guys can start seeing how WorkIQ can truly empower these agents without having to manually connect all of these dots. I didn't have to provide it with, these are the Teams channels that I have access to. These are the SharePoint sites and document libraries that contains my files. Here is the Azure DevOps projects that I have access to. I didn't have to do any of that knowledge components. Simply by using WorkIQ, it can find the data that I use on a day-to-day basis. And it will always continue to honor the permissions at source. So it will only pull information from areas that I have access to under normal circumstances. All right, that's pretty cool. And let's just quickly check our PSG request that I had. There we are. It's still busy with that. Recap the meeting from last Thursday. Any recent shout-outs or kudos received on projects? And that's limited to the last 30 days. see if our recap meeting is still busy. It's doing hard work, yeah. And here it's come back with a comprehensive recap with a high confidence level that it has included all the content that surrounds this request. Here it gives me a recap, who was the attendees from PSG, from First Technology side, even somebody from Microsoft, highlights all the key discussion points for us, as well as all the key outcomes and next action steps. So again, without me having to give it any sort of context, who was the owner of this meeting, on what specific date and time did this happen, purely by saying something like, last Thursday with this specific customer, it can find its way to this content, review everything, all the artifacts surrounding that request or email or calendar entry, and then provide me with a summarized response in a clean and easy to read chat conversation. And finally, any recent shout outs or kudos received, so that I can get a quick snapshot in order to provide some news for my Feel Good Friday newsletter that I need to provide. Recent shout outs, Gulzar had some shout outs, Gary had some shout outs, Khotsu had some shout outs, and it's even gone ahead and created a little summary for me. Gulzar, Gary, Khotsu, Jahar, Julian, and the team in general. There's some real good feedback and shout outs received across our environment. This could have, again, been Teams one-to-one kudos. This could have just been a mention in an email. This could be a post on our Viva Engage platform. WorkIQ can get to all of this information. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Just to quickly recap here, Agent 365, the ability to have this global view and control plane for all of our agents in our environment. Coming soon from the 1st of May is the ability to give these agents intra IDs, where we can now give them role-based access, conditional access, make them part of groups and memberships to teams and channels. And then coming later this year, I believe it's in December, these agents can now also receive a mailbox and even OneDrive, completely decoupling them from a user needing to engage with them. They can run autonomously in the background. Any emails that's sent to their mailbox can be processed, converted, start that approval process, seek that input, and naturally the ability to control and govern all of these agents inside the space. And then WorkIQ available for Copilot Studio agents, so not available for our M365 agents, like the ungrounded and grounded examples that I've given you here. But this unlocks a whole new feature set to these custom agents, building agents just for the project team or for all of the marketing and communications guys in the organization, or perhaps for the BAs and the PAs. You can now build very specific custom solutions for these users with a very specific use case, grounded in your data, connected to the business context through WorkIQ, and then obviously outputting based on your instructions, your model selection, and the tone that you would like it to respond to your users. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Chris. That was really insightful. I got a couple of direct questions here. So one just, and I know you lightly touched on it, is with regards to the license requirements for either Agent 365 or WorkIQ. Maybe you just want to quickly remind everybody how that works.
Okay, so for general Copilot, that's available for everyone as it stands today. As long as you've got an Office 365 license, you can access Copilot Chat for free. Copilot for M365 requires the per user per month license. With that license, you can now build your own custom agents using that agent builder functionality, And it also gives you access to WorkIQ under the Copilot Studio side of things. So there's no separate license to enable WorkIQ. It's available for Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio is not licensed on a per user level. This is licensed on a tenant level. One license covers all the agents you want to build, and any of those agents can include WorkIQ. And finally, for Agent 365, for those agents that we want to monitor and govern and have all the guardrails in place, there we license the author of those agents. Microsoft recommends that you're not going to be licensing your entire organization for that license. It will only be the authors of your business critical agents in Office 365.
Okay, great. So then just to get this 100% right, for those of our clients that do not have an M365 Copilot license, but do deploy Copilot Studio-based agents, they get access to WorkIQ through that Studio license.
Absolutely. And in my opinion, that's the quickest route to AI adoption today. It is one of the more financially feasible routes because it's a single tenant license. It costs around 3,500 Rand per month for that license. And you can have as many agents in your environment, one for the IT team, one for the supply chain team, one company-wide, one just for that department. None of the end users needs a license to engage with those Copilot Studio agents in Copilot or in Microsoft Teams.
Okay, great. Okay, just want to have a quick look here at the chat. I think I've covered all the questions in the chat. There's nothing in the QA window. So yeah, let's wrap the session up. Just a quick reminder, guys, before we say completely goodbye. This is the second session of a 4-part series of the IQ products as released by Microsoft. Our next session will be next week, 16th of April. Again, same time, 9 o'clock, South African Standard Time. Really honored to have Greg host that session, our leading architect and specialist in our data business, and he will talk specifically about Fabric IQ and the importance of adding and enriching data with a semantic layer so that it can be effectively consumed by AI, either attended or unattended agents. And then the last session in this IQ series is Nathan Goosen, who runs our Gen AI development team. He will be talking about Foundry IQ, which is really how AI can enhance your typical traditional RAG-based knowledge retrieval by having AI itself filter and scrutinize the results before it even actually reaches an agent, and really enhancing the effectiveness of data retrieval in a RAG-based deployment. So it's probably be a bit more of a technical session. If any of you guys do have some developers or teams that build out capability inside Microsoft Foundry, this is definitely a recommended session for them to come and learn about Foundry IQ specifically. Also, this session has been recorded and will be made available on our YouTube channel. Claire will send out that thank you email probably by tomorrow with a link to the recording. And please share this with any colleague that wanted to attend and actually couldn't attend today's session. But from us, Chris, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for everybody that attended this session. Any questions, please reach out to us. Either contact Claire, contact myself, or contact Chris or your First Technology account manager if you don't have any of our contact details, and they will make sure that you get in touch with Chris to take the conversation further. But thank you again and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.